What's up everyone? Brian back here with another recap video. This one is going to be a double recap, double recap video where I'm going to recap NWA Power from last night and also last night's Impact Wrestling broadcast. So let's just get right into it. Starting off with NWA Power. On last night's episode, we saw the crowning of a new NWA World Television Champion as Zicky Dice defeated Ricky Starks to become the new NWA Television Champion. We also saw Tom Latimer interrupt Zicky's celebratory interview, and he made it very clear to everyone that on the next episode of NWA Power, it is going to be we will finally hear from Camille, who has not spoken, who's not said a word, but she will finally speak on the next episode of NWA Power, which happens in 2 weeks. Not next week, because next week is going to be Circle Squared episodes 2 and 3. But the following week, on the 17th, is when she will talk and make her NWA in-ring debut. We had a Crockett Cup media recap, conference recap, where we heard comments from NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the National Treasure Nick Aldis, and the number one contender to that championship, Marty Scurll. Of course, on April 19th, at the Crockett Cup event, these two will battle it out for the NWA World title in a rematch from, I believe it was last year's Crockett Cup. Then we had an interview with the current NWA National Champion, Aaron Stevens, and the question mark that this interview would lead to Stevens and the question mark issuing a challenge to the Rock and Roll Express for the next episode of NWA Power. So that match will be taking place because Stevens and the question mark, they want more gold and they want the tag team championship. So what better way to get in line for an opportunity at those titles by defeating the former champions, the former 9-time champs, the Rock and Roll Express. So we'll see if they'll be able to do it in 2 weeks. In a last chance tag team match, it was the Dawsons losing to Caleb Conley and C.W. Anderson. This matchup was basically winners stay, the losers would have their contracts expire. So Caleb Conley, he's going to have his contract renewed, and C.W. Anderson will be receiving a contract from the NWA. So, and the Dawsons apparently are going to have their contracts expired and not be renewed. We had an NWA Power update where Sean Mooney detailed a lot of shows that are going to be coming up. Of course, next week is going to be episodes 2 and 3 of Circle Squared. Then the following week is going to be NWA Superpower, where it's going to be a special episode of that event, of that show. Then there's going to be other shows in the weeks leading up to the Crockett Cup. One is going to be Power Surge. The other one is going to be a Crockett Cup selection show. And another one is going to be the return of the 10 pounds of gold, where it'll probably detail the events leading up to Marty Scurll challenging Nick Aldis for the NWA title. Then we had an interview with May Valentine and her best friend Sal Rinauro. Basically, this turned into where May got out her phone and was vlogging with the fans. Then Royce Isaacs, May's boyfriend, he came out and started going after her. He then grabbed Sal Rinauro and on Sal Rinauro's arm and put it between the ring and the steps and threatened to stomp on it. But May convinced him to stop. So that was pretty much that happened there. Then for the NWA World Tag Team Championships in the main event, Eli Drake and James Storm retained their championships over the Bouncers, who had the Pope in their corner. Storm and Eli Drake had Eddie Kingston in their corner, and after the match, Eddie wanted the Pope to get in the ring to fight him. Of course, with what happened last week and what's been going on between these two, Pope decided he wanted nothing to do with that, at least not yet anyway, so that was pretty much the end of NWA Power. I am going to throw a bit of AEW Dark in this one as well. There was basically one match that took place, I believe, before this past Saturday's Revolution event. It was Yuka Sakazaki and Riho teaming up to take on Penelope Ford and Britt Baker. And Britt Baker and Penelope Ford picked up the win in that tag team match. So moving on to Impact from last night's episode, we had the North, the current Impact Tag Team Champions. They were defeated by TJP and Fallah Bahh. So with this victory, this obviously has to put Fallah Bahh and TJP in line for a future tag title shot. We had a Tessa Blanchard interview talking about her title defense in the main event of this episode. For the first time ever, it was going to be two women wrestlers battling it out for the World Heavyweight Championship, as Tessa Blanchard was defending against Taya Valkyrie. Eddie Edwards, the Call Your Shot trophy owner, basically interrupted and said that next week, when he wins match number 5 in the best of 5 series against Michael Elgin, he's going to call his shot and he's going to face Tessa Blanchard for the championship at Rebellion. And Tessa said, I'll see you there. If that happens, I'll see you there. So that was it for that. Moose defeated Petey Williams. This was based off of what happened last week, where Petey insulted Moose for not being a champion, unlike everybody else that was associated with Impact Wrestling, or when it was known as TNA Wrestling. We had a Madison Rayne, Kiera Hogan segment. Madison was backstage training some women, having them do workouts. Kiera Hogan interrupted. Then all of a sudden, when Kiera Hogan got in Madison's face, one of the trainees stepped between them and was like looking down and, like getting in the face of Kiera Hogan. And Kiera's like, oh, okay, she has a plan. Yeah, she has a plan for you. So obviously nothing settled there between those two former friends. Now looks like they're going to be enemies. Joey Ryan lost to AC Romero. The one about this matchup was that Joey Ryan really didn't give the fans what they wanted to see. And it's been ever since his meeting with Katie Forbes and RVD, I believe it was last week. Now Joey has a different attitude, so we'll have to find out what that's all about. We had a Glenn Gilberti, Johnny Swinger, and Willie Mack segment. This would lead to, I think, a match being booked between Willie Mack and a partner of his choosing and Swinger and Gilberti. We had a Joey Ryan, Katie Forbes, and RVD segment where Katie told Joey Ryan that she's there for him because she knows what he's going through with the fans talking about them all the time, talking about her and RVD. Apparently the fans are hating on Joey Ryan and everything he's been doing. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens going further with that. Jessica Havoc lost to Sue Young in a no disqualification match. This got set up because of Rosemary kind of coercing Jessica Havoc into this matchup. Su Yung won with the mandible claw while having a noose hung around Havoc's neck. Then after the match, Su Yung would summon her undead bridesmaids to bring out a casket and basically tried to put Jessica Havoc in there, but Havoc got out of it and fought her way back to the locker room area. We heard from Rosemary, who was kind of hoping that with everything that's been going on, that the bunny would come back, would be back. Of course, she's referencing Allie, who's now in AEW. She's called the Bunny, but she was like, that didn't happen. So she's gonna have to retrace her steps and figure out what went wrong. So I don't know what's going on there. Johnny Swinger and Glenn Gilberti were in action. They lost to the Deaners, Cody and Cousin Jake. We had a Tennille Dashwood video that played. Speaking of that Deaners versus Gilberti and Swinger match, we once again saw the video static of ICU. Who is behind that? I don't know. And we also had a clip of what's been going on in the Can-Am Wrestling Dojo for Gut Check. And in the main event, it was Tessa Blanchard retaining her Impact World Championship against Taya Valkyrie. So pretty much that was pretty much it for the episodes of Impact Wrestling, NWA Power, and AEW Dark. We'll have to see what happens next week as far as NWA Power or Impact Wrestling is concerned. So with that being said, this has been my recap of NWA Power, Impact Wrestling, and AEW Dark for last night. As always, I am Brian, and thank you for watching.